we're going to jump into the next discussion, which was another news story with WWE 2K24 being announced within the past week. We saw our cover superstars. We saw Cody Rhodes as the cover for the standard edition. There's a 40 years of WrestleMania edition. And there's also the deluxe edition, which comes with Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley as the cover superstars of that game. And they've been hinting about the game and its features for quite a while. On their Instagram, there were random images of a special referee, of a casket, of an ambulance, and we came to learn that they're bringing back these modes, which is awesome. The new game is going to have a updated roster. Everyone's going to have a more current look. Obviously, there's going to be a 2K showcase of the Immortals. So you'll be reliving all the historic WrestleMania moments. Probably not the Chris Benoit triple threat one, but hey, they're probably not going to include all 40 years of WrestleMania. I think they're going to kind of spark notes it and make it maybe like 15 big moments. You'll have My Rise, that's coming back. My Faction, My GM. They're going to have some additional features in My GM mode, like trading with the superstars. There's going to be the Universe mode. They're going to have expanded features with new rivalry actions, cutscenes, special guest referees, double title matches, and a loser leaves town stipulation. There are other features, including, I mentioned guest referee, the casket, the gauntlet, and the ambulance matches, and backstage brawls featuring more than one superstar. Obviously, updated graphics. There was actually one thing I wanted to comment on the graphics. Looks great, but when we'll touch on this later, but when Bayley won the Royal Rumble, 2K posted like a congratulations Bayley, and they put like her face model, and she looked like Cynthia from Rugrats with like her hairline. Like the hair was just like, it was like weird. Like her face looked fine, but I don't know why they thought that'd be a good picture to post on social media.
What?
And the top comments were like, like she looks busted. Like what's wrong with her hair? And they took it down.
Damn!
So,
I wanted to see it. I was about to look it up.
It's probably someone probably screenshotted it. I'm sure.
I read it.
Well, the trailer that we saw yesterday for the game too, like there was those weird like the zoom ins on their faces, like Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold, where it was weird, like how those look too.
Yeah, I mean, with those, they were just trying to recreate those WrestleMania moments, and they basically took.
Oh, there you go.
Like the.
David's got it.
Oh, thank you,
man!
What happened to your? That is.
They took her as priority.
Yeah, like her face looks good, but I don't know what it is. It like I feel like the women wrestlers in the 2K games, they always feel like they get like second treatment, and they don't necessarily always have the best facial models, and I don't understand why. But I'd like to hope that they fix the hair, and all the female wrestlers who are in the game do live up to the equivalent of their male counterparts, because I always feel like the resources are less on the women's side. But yeah, with the zoom ups of Stone Cold Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan, I'm pretty sure they just took old footage, had them do like a current recording, and then just kind of like plastered their face on it with like some kind of AI program. But didn't look great. But I guess you get the point across. But I personally wouldn't have done it in that way. But
yeah.
What do we think of the WWE 2K24 announcement? Are we excited? Do we want to? Do we plan on getting it? I think I am. What do you guys think?
I think I'll play it too.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll definitely play it. I mean, ever since the last one, they did it from the ground up again, right? Like it was actually like a complete rebuilding year, right, from before that. So, and they did a great job. So it wasn't like a cookie cutter exactly like from all the previous WWE games that they did for a while, where it was kind of getting a little too like how much of the same. So I think it's only Like it's going to be one big improvement from the last one. So I'd say it's definitely going to be worth getting for sure. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, thoughts?
When did they start doing 2K specifically with WWE?
Wow.
2014 or 13.
There was a 2013. I remember when Punk was on the cover. That was 2013.
It might have been 11.
That might have been before that too, though.
Because they had
that was SmackDown versus Raw still 2011.
Okay.
And that was still with THQ and Ukes.
I mean, I skipped out actually on a lot of 2K WWE games, I feel. Because I don't even remember the last one I bought personally. I just know you guys have been playing. You guys played 2K23, right?
A little bit.
We did, yeah. We got the John Cena one. I got the Rey Mysterio or 2K22 before. They before that, I'm pretty sure they took a little bit of a break because of that backlash for was it 2K19 or 2K20 where it was just completely unplayable, basically the facial models and all that. I don't know if you guys remember, like Assassin's Creed. I mean, there were a number of games like Cyberpunk, like those kinds of issues. It was just bad, and they basically had to take a step back because I think the year to year was a problem for them for whatever reason. And
they were just like copy pasting basically over.
Yeah, I mean they're doing it. They're doing a year to year thing now, but maybe they just needed that break to figure out what the issue was. Because so far it's been good. The one continuous issue has been the online mode that I just don't know how, if it's just because the kind of game it is, but I feel like the online has never been amazing. If it was SmackDown versus Raw or if it was a 2K game, like there's always this delay, and there's, in terms of the frequency of your players being replaced with an AI is too frequent for my taste. So I hope that they fix it, but I'm not holding my breath. But I do want to see the 2K24 modes, like the 40 years of WrestleMania. Who do we think? What matches do we think they're going to include in that, and how many moments do we think is going to appear in the game?
I think at least 20.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think at least half, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they'll do, or like for sure, like the easy ones, like, Hogan, Andre, Savage, Steamboat.
For sure. Rock and Hogan.
Probably throw in like Shawn Michaels and Razor.
You can see
Those
that.
are good ones. And which one, like we can speculate about like the ones that we think they'll do. Which ones do you guys want to appear in the game?
I think a good one would be the tournament they had. Was it in WrestleMania 18 when Jericho ended up winning because he cheated? Like he actually beat Stone Cold and The Rock in the same night, as he put it too. That was his promo after he won the undisputed title. I think that'd be a cool one to put in there because I don't know if that's ever really been covered in the game.
That was Vengeance.
Was it? Was it Vengeance? I thought that was WrestleMania.
When he won both titles, yeah.
Yeah, he lost those titles at Mania.
Oh, okay. My mistake. Damn, I thought that was Mania.
I think I want to see the Edge Mick Foley flaming table from WrestleMania 22. I mean, I think the Cena Triple H match was
probably can't
good, but I think the Edge Mick Foley match was much more memorable. Vince McMahon, I mean, that's gonna be he was a part of a lot of like the Attitude Era moments and stuff, so that's gonna be interesting how they handle that within the games.
Yeah,
just a random like a call.
They'll just do when Rock beat Austin instead.
I mean, that's it. That's a good one too. Probably Rock Hogan. Lots of Rock Hogan themed matches, I'm sure, that are going to show up at WrestleMania. I mean, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker. I know that they're going to include at least the WrestleMania 25 one, if not WrestleMania 26.
Probably the second Triple H one.
Yeah.
Did Brock Lesnar have any moments?
I mean, yeah, Goldberg, Lesnar. I mean, it was a moment.
The streak.
Lesnar beating the streak. I mean, that's a big moment. Like it's objectively a big moment. People are like, what the hell did he actually count to 3? Like the zoom up of that one guy's face with the big eyes, like what the fuck?
Yeah.
You have to include that, but I'm excited for
But
that.
does it make the cut?
Does it? I hope so.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
I hope so. I mean, there's. I feel like that's the crappy thing is like they have all these moments, and right now there are certain just problematic individuals that are involved in a lot of these moments. So you can't really avoid them all unless you're going to be, really scraping the bottom of the barrel of certain matches. Like, I don't know, you're going to do the Sheamus Daniel Bryan 20-second match where he just gets like kicked in the head.
What if Tony doesn't want that?
Nay, well, that's the other thing. There are guys who are on a different roster.
Well, that's what I was saying with the Edge McFoley thing because he's in AEW now.
Oh yeah, another one. Good point. I wonder how they're going to handle that. I feel like because we said there are only 20, and we have technically 40 years of WrestleMania minus WrestleMania 40. I think these people and the folks who are in AEW, they basically kind of made their decisions easier about which WrestleMania moments they're going to pick. So
yeah,
we'll see. There's definitely going to be a lot of Hogan, Rock, Austin.
We're just going to get a bunch of wrestling from the 80s.
Yeah. Early 90s, Ultimate Warrior,
Yeah.
Hogan, Bret Hart.
They can't even do Bret versus Olin.
That's true. I'd like to see Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon. I feel like that one you can do, right? There's no issue there.
For sure.
Well, let's talk about, we talked about WWE 2K24. Chris, you mentioned you haven't played wrestling games in a while. I kind of wanted to discuss our favorite wrestling games we've played in our lifetimes. I think the first wrestling game that I touched, and I guess Chris by proxy, was WWF Attitude on PlayStation. I think that was the first wrestling game we got, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it like in your house, or am I mistaken? Was that
Attitude?
No, it would have been Attitude. I mean, on PlayStation, that's the most vivid one I remember because they had the freaking faces. It looks like they just peeled their skin off and just like taped it to like a 3D model.
Oh yeah,
and that's like the kicking and all that. That wasn't great. And we also played WWF Smackdown. We had Smackdown 2 for whatever reason. I don't even know how we got that, but those were the first 2 games that we played.
Yeah.
And those were fun. I also didn't know how the hell to play as a kid. I was like, how do I pin? I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just kick the shit out of this motherfucker.
I just kept kicking. I'm like, how do you do a finisher? Who knows? But yeah.
I played a really old game on the arcade. I remember, I don't remember what it was. It was not like the 3D model one, the one that Midway made. It wasn't that one. I did play that one later, but like there was one before that where there were like sprites, and I remember like Hogan being like, I don't think he got much of a roster choice, but I remember like playing as Hogan. It was in a steel cage and stuff, and it was like an arcade, so it had like the stick and the buttons and stuff like that. But I'm like, I don't remember what it was called and stuff. But that was before Attitude even came out. But Attitude, I actually got that. I think the day it came out because it looked really impressive. Like at that point in time, what was that, 99, 98 or something like that?
Yeah,
so that was a big deal. Yeah, that was huge when they came out. I remember getting it, and I'm like, it's all right. But it got better. Like, the more you played it, it started to kind of like pick up, like, pace and stuff like that. The better you got at it and stuff like that when you started to learn it more. But I remember being, like, hell of impressed with that. And obviously, like, a lot of other people, No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000, those games were phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did the original Smackdown as well. I think I still have it. Smackdown 2... 3 maybe, and then once they got to like the whole SmackDown vs. Raw time period, I kind of didn't do it. I didn't play them anymore. When I got back into wrestling games was like 2013.
Man, those were the cream of the crap, though.
Those are the best. David, what about you? What was your first wrestling game?
My first wrestling game was the second WCW game on N64. So versus NWO Revenge.
That was a good one too. Yeah.
So like I had that, and then I had both AWF games. So Mania 2000 and then No Mercy. out of those three, my favorite was I'd probably say it was Revenge. At least Revenge got the most out of me. And
So they were all in N64, right?
Yeah.
Games.
Yeah.
And then I played like all the PlayStation games, all the Smackdowns.
Like Here Comes the Pain and
Yeah. So
Your
like
Role, I
1,
think.
2, like what was it? Know Your Role, Shut Your Mouth,
Mhm.
Just Bring It. Just Bring It was the third one, so that was before Shut Your Mouth.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And then it was Here Comes the Pain, which is the one that like everybody that has all the lore now.
Yeah.
I played like the first 3 SmackDown versus Raw, so I stopped at 07. And then I disappeared
Those were awesome.
till
Day of Reckoning.
2014.
Day of
That's what I was gonna ask
Reckoning.
about.
Those were
That was a
really good.
GameCube exclusive, right?
I also had Raw for Xbox.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember me and Chris got like an Xbox like late in its life cycle. Partially got it because I wanted to get Shenmue 2, but I think like the first games that we got in there, they had like the Dead or Alive Ultimate like box. So I think it was 1, 2, and 3. Or no, it was just 1 and 2 in it, and they were like remastered versions of Dead or Alive. And then we also got like Star Wars Obi-Wan for whatever reason at the same time, and Knights of the Old Republic. But we got WWE Raw, and I was like, this is okay. But then I saw WWE Raw 2, and I saw that you could like add in like your own music, which I thought was like such a revelation.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah.
you could basically put in your own theme
Mhm.
songs and all that kind of stuff. That was awesome. And not to mention, like for the time, I thought it looked really good. But in
It did.
terms of visuals, I thought that Day of Reckoning looked the best out of, honestly, from like that 2003 to 2006 era. I thought Day of Reckoning had the best visuals. In terms
There
of
was
the
2 of those.
gameplay, it was also really good. Yeah, there was
two.
1 and 2, and I think we played both. One of them we played at our friend Michael Conley's house, and the other one I think we just rented from Blockbuster, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I remember I had WWE or WWF at the time, Royal Rumble, which was on the Dreamcast,
Oh yeah,
and it was a big deal because it was like the first time you can have more than like 10 like characters on screen in the ring. So, but the game itself was like, it was all right. That's all it was. You just did the Rumble. I don't think there was like any other game modes on it.
did you play that ECW one that was on
I did.
Dreamcast too? What'd you think?
I did. That was pretty bad, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I used to try to like live. I had it too. I used to try to like force myself to play it just because I liked everybody that was in ECW.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was terrible.
Well,
Actually, funny story about that game. I'm sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
I rented that game, and somehow I lost it. When it came time to give it back to Blockbuster, I lost it. I just couldn't find it. Me and my dad were like, "Where did it go?" I'm like, "I don't know. We couldn't find it," and we had to come clean to Best Buy and be like, "Yeah, we can't find it." So like the agreement was we just have to basically pay for the game that I didn't have. So we had to basically pay for it, and we ended up finding it when we moved. You know, like when you move, you actually clear like everything out. You end up sometimes finding things you didn't know was missing, or you've been looking for. That's what ended up happening. So funny
How
story
long
about
did you
that.
have for? Did you have like a week or so? I don't remember what the.
I don't remember how I don't remember how the
days.
renting thing went, but it came time to return it, and I was like, okay, because we still had the container that it came with, like, but the disc itself, we couldn't find it. It was weird, and I don't know. We lived there another like year and a half, and then like when we moved out, I found it, and I was like, oh, damn. Lucky me, I get this game right. So
What do you
but,
do?
Yeah,
Do you
no,
remember anything specifically from that game that you liked
it
or
was a
that
rough
stuck out?
play. I mean, not really, man. Especially in those days, we had better options. I just remember thinking like I was gonna like it, but no. I just remember like it just like it played okay, but just like the entertainment value. Like I wasn't really a big ECW guy, so I was just getting into ECW at that point. But even then, I didn't really have like a favorite. Maybe like RVD, but like because I remember. Was it WGN or some channel locally out here had it? I don't even think the channel even exists anymore. I remember Mancow had a television show on it too that would like follow it. Yeah, God, what channel was that? But they played ECW on there. It was a local televised station, but that's when I started to try and get into ECW and stuff.
Channel
But when I got the
26.
game, was it 26? Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just had like random stuff on there, but that's how I discovered ECW. And I like how for the longest time it was a secret that like WWE actually was funding ECW.
I mean, I didn't know
So
that
when I
until
found out,
past
yeah, I
5
didn't
years or
know.
so.
Yeah, I was like, holy crap, makes sense though. And you start thinking like when they did the crossovers here and there. So, but yeah, that game, honestly, I just remember it being bad and not really like, and then feeling terrible that my dad had to spend $50 after the fact.
It's like not only did you lose it, but you also paid for a shit game too.
Yeah, we paid full price for it. And I was like, oh, like, damn, okay. And then we find it. I'm like, ugh. But no, honestly, I can't remember too much. I remember one game that I do remember specifically that I hated was WCW Backstage Brawl.
I was about to
Yeah.
bring. I was about to ask which game was it where it was just like strictly in the backstage. I was just about to actually ask that shit.
Yeah, that was
Backstage Brawl.
yeah, that game was rough, dude. That was really bad. And there was another WCW game where I remember either I probably just never figured it out, but I remember the only song that would play throughout the entire menu and then throughout the entire customization was Rey Mysterio's song, like his theme at the time, like the what was it, the Crazy Animals or whatever song that was.
That's
I remember
probably
like
Mayhem.
was it? Yes, it was Mayhem. Yes, because one thing you do when you play wrestling games, you want to customize yourself in it, So I remember doing that, and I take my time at that. So like my dad would be in the room too; he's doing whatever, and he just kind of asked me, he's like, "Why is that the only song that's playing? It's been like 3 hours. Do you mind like
Sounds like
muting it, or
torture.
like can we play the radio or something?" I'm like,
Like,
"Yeah,
you really
I'm
like
getting
that
bored."
song, son.
Yeah, you would really like that song, but yeah, right. That was the only song that played, right? Like, I was like, "Am I not doing something right? Can I not change it?" Like, it's weird, but because I don't know, it was just the only thing that played through the whole game. It was pretty, and then the game was just not great either.
I remember being a kid and playing I remember my uncle rented it and he let me know. I started a match and then I turned it off.
That was
Trash.
part first.
Just that quick. What about you mentioned you played ECW. You said you were forcing yourself to play it because you liked it. Do you remember anything specifically that you disliked about it in terms of like the mechanics or anything, or was it just a generally unpleasant game to play?
So it was unpleasant to play. It was really clunky, and then it also had like the worst input lag you've ever seen. And then with it having all that input lag, it also was like combo based, like in terms of the striking buttons. So it was like impossible to play.
Wasn't it the same engine as Attitude too, as well? Like it basically was like a copy of it, but it was worse somehow.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. Actually, there's another. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, man. I'll let you finish. I'm
No,
sorry.
you're good. Yeah, I remember like actually being able to do a Rolling Thunder with RVD and like throwing my hands up in the air because it was just like impossible to pull anything off in that game.
Did they have create a wrestler options in that game?
I don't remember. I never got that deep.
You're like, this is just trash. Like, I'm over it. If it doesn't sell you in like the first like whatever half an hour of gameplay, then it's probably not gonna sell you.
I just didn't have, there's no games with RVD at the time. And it was like when RVD first got to WWF, so it's like,
Worth it.
Did you guys play Nitro?
No, I mean, I'll be honest. I don't think I played any of the N64 games. I played No Mercy when I figured out how to do ROMs and emulators. That's the only time I did No Mercy.
WCW Nitro was a terrible game. Absolute, probably one of the worst. But it's kind of fun when it's like just mindless like button mashing, because like the strike system was like very quick. And there was a generic grunt for every character, and they had like the biggest roster of any game because they literally put like the developers in there. They had like these random like characters that were just thrown in, like B-Man and like Horseman. Like I'm not even joking. And then they had like random stages where it was like, I don't know, you're like at a canyon or you're inside a beehive itself, and like it was the most weirdest. It was a weird. Look it up. It was just a weird mess of a game, man. But like, like I said, for mindless fun, it was interesting, but like it was just a terrible quality game. I'm like, and then you got Hogan, Sting, and Goldberg on the cover, so you threw like they basically had to throw like the Triple Asters on the cover just to be like, hey, maybe someone will buy this garbage if we put these guys on there, right? Look it up though. It's a wacky game.
I think, yeah, you're right. With the you mentioned the ECW games using the WWF Attitude Engine, yeah. And then I forgot there was also WWF Warzone. We also played that one.
Yeah.
That was the first one that came out, and then it was WWF Attitude in '99, and then in 2000 they had the ECW Hardcore Revolution and Anarchy Rules misspelled. No E.
RULZ, baby.
Exactly. Now it's a little cringy, but that's pretty awesome.
And the Warzone had the intros, right, with the wrestlers talking.
I think so.
Like
It wasn't great, but yes, and they all had some form of create a wrestler. Obviously, not as crazy as now. But what do we think? Like, I guess between the era of 1998 and let's say up to like 2005, which one had the best create a wrestler feature? Do you think in a wrestling game up until that point?
Talking like pre-Smackdown versus Raw.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it might be a little
Mercy.
unfair to include SmackDown versus Raw just because it was such a big thing. But I feel like
No Mercy.
yeah,
Yeah, Mercy was really good with that.
No Mercy.
I think even the first SmackDown might fall into that category because that was like 2000, right? When that came out, that had a pretty good customization because you can like customize like because I remember your character would come out and all you would see is the Titantron itself playing in the background, like the video. I remember that was pretty cool, and they had like thousands of options of how you can come out. Like they had a random one where your character would walk and then like randomly like turn around really quickly and start sprinting, and there's like a missile coming behind them, and eventually he'd get hit by it, and he would. Yeah, they had like all these. They had like a crazy amount of them. SmackDown had I mean, wrestling games I think sets the standard for customization in games in general. You know, pretty much. That's why like even fighting games are doing that like more so. And I think like I don't know, they can take a lot of inspiration from wrestling games for that aspect. But I think SmackDown probably had the best in that era for me personally.
And obviously with SmackDown versus Raw, and I think even specifically SmackDown versus Raw 2006, the customization was basically like up the wazoo of like in terms of what you can customize, the actual detail of what you can do with an individual character and every specific body part, whether it's the eyes or the bridge of the nose, how big your forehead is, all of that was super customizable. Like before it was like, oh, here's your head, make it large or make it small. And then they basically broke it down by every part of the human anatomy. Not to mention that, the clothing and the sheer amount of clothing that you can do in SmackDown versus Raw 6. I remember going online and we had like people who made like Tifa from Final Fantasy VII creator wrestlers, The Mask, Jim Carrey, The Mask for whatever reason, Sting, and making all those kinds of characters that weren't in SmackDown versus Raw for obvious reasons. Andres, you said you didn't play SmackDown versus Raw at all, right?
No, those games I did, like I was kind of falling out of the scene a little bit, so I also fell out of the games. Unfortunately, with those I didn't really get too familiar with. Even like the Raw series after that, no. Day of Reckoning too, I kind of heard they were pretty good, but I didn't play those either, unfortunately. I skipped a good amount of time, unfortunately.
So I guess for David and Chris, for like the modern era, which I guess I can say SVR 06, to say modern might be kind of stupid because now thinking back, that's like almost 20 years ago. But from SVR 06 until now, which one from like that series, including the 2K games, would you say left the biggest lasting impression?
07.
07.
Yeah, 07 only because, I mean, Marcin, that we were like on that shit all the time with like soundtrack. I mean, there was just a lot of good shit. Like the music itself, the customization was super, super heavy. I mean, like you could create logos and textures and make them big and small, and people were being like super creative with that stuff. All the modes, even like the online was kind of endearing when motherfuckers would be like like hacking and shit. And they'll like
Oh yeah.
freeze you in the middle of the ring. I remember specifically there's like a guy who made like a Venom or something, and he would like somehow he was able to like climb outside of the arena and just like make everything super minimized. And then his ass would just drop, like his character would drop, and then he would just fucking be like paralyzed. And then you just have to like reset your fucking game because that shit, like there's nothing else you can do. You're like, all right, so now what?
Yeah.
Yeah, but did they have special referees now, or maybe it was in '06? I remember in '07, like they also hacked it so where you could also have like the characters, like the non-playable characters, like Stephanie McMahon and all those things, and they also had like these nude mods for the creator wrestlers, and they were just like naked, big titty chicks on there who would like freeze you while you're trying to get pinned.
Yeah,
I didn't have
that-
referees in No Mercy as well. I think that's where they started doing it.
And they went about it in such a weird way too. Like the way to freeze a person, they basically, what you said, Chris, was they used like the leaving the ring motion, and that's how he was able to just keep like floating up to the top of the arena, and also how he froze you if you faced them, which was nuts. And around the same time, we also started going into we joined what they called in the wrestling games clans, or like gamer groups. I don't know what other term they used then. It was you saw like when you were creating your own username, a lot of folks had like a 3-letter group that they had next to their name as like a tag. I think ours was USF, if I remember correctly, and I'm pretty sure it changed to something else afterwards. But we were like super knee deep into like the forums where you pick your character. Some people had their own created character. Other people picked a superstar like Shawn Michaels or Edge. And the forum was basically like a federation. And I think USF stood for Unstoppable Forces. And basically there was a main section on the forum where you had like the role playing section. So you're basically creating feuds and feuding with people by cutting promos in your forum post, and you basically start feuds. And then you had someone who was basically general manager who created weekly match cards, and then there was a monthly pay-per-view at the end, and then you'd fight for the title or whatever it was. And that was actually pretty addicting and fun. I do remember enjoying that a lot. Too bad, it kind of died off. I enjoyed doing that. If there was a way to implement something like that in like the online mode, that'd be amazing. But I wouldn't even know how you'd accomplish that. But Chris, I don't know if you had any thoughts about that era.
I mean, there was just a lot of drama, I guess, amongst the clan members, so to speak. It was fun.
Canceled.
Yeah,
sharing it on social media.
It was a good time. It was just kind of fun coming after school and just trying to like, oh, you forgot to post a promo or whatever against this person or whatever, and you have to like go in there and cut a promo or whatever. But it was fun. It was probably that was like peak wrestling game for me. Like we got 08, I think, and that's when the graphics started to get a lot better with like the 360 and stuff. 07, I think, was the first one on 360, I believe.
Yep.
It
had
was
a
like,
PS2 for it also.
yeah, it was like simultaneous release. But yeah, it started to get way better looking 08 and onwards, and little sticker at the bottom said featuring ECW, I think, on that 08 SVR 08. Yeah. So no, that was peak wrestling, at least from my rose tinted goggles. But like I think I remember 2K13 or 14 or whatever it was being good.
The Attitude Era one.
Yeah.
I think that was the last one we all had before like 22 or 23.
Yeah.
I think I bought 2K14 like just on a whim, but it was like after the fact. Like it was out for a while, and I just wanted to see what it played like. I think it might have been 2K15, and it was good, but yeah, I just didn't feel it yet until recently. I think I was just getting to that point where I was getting burnt out around like 2017, and then I stopped, like I said before, and then came back in 2022. Thankfully, after that Royal Rumble with Shane McMahon, because I think it was that year, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken. I started doing WrestleMania 22 or 22. 2022's WrestleMania with Cody Rhodes, and then I got the 2K22 game with the Rey Mysterio. That was fun. But with that, let's end it. Let's end it there. Hopefully, with 2K24, I feel like it looks promising. I do really enjoy special referee matches, so I'm curious to see what people in 2024 are going to do with special referee matches. If they're going to be like The Rock. He's going to be like 1, 2. He's like, it doesn't matter. That's what I want to see. Like, just interrupt and just cause pure chaos. So the